Hi, hello, welcome to Paisa Vasool. As always, I'm your host, Shravan. We've got Taran here with us.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about Pushpa 2, The Rule. You would have noticed that there's already a review of Pushpa 1, actually, that is on our channel. So if you haven't had a look at that in terms of our thoughts on the first Pushpa, do check that out. But let's get into our thoughts on Pushpa 2. So, a bit of background. It's obviously directed by Sukumar. We didn't really talk about Sukumar's filmography in the first episode.
Yeah.
So his first movie was Arya,
Yeah.
starring Allu Arjun again. Then he did Jagadam, starring Ram. And then I think he did 100% Love. I don't think he did anything between those two. So he did 100% Love, starring Naga Chaitanya, and then One Nenokudne.
I think he did Aria too before that.
That's right. He did Arya 2 after Jagadam. Yeah, so he did Arya 2 and then he did 100% Love. And then he did One Nenokune, then Nanaka Premato, then Pushpa. Oh, and Rangasalam, of course. So Rangasalam was before Pushpa. Like, people give him a lot of credit. Like, they treat him like he's like a cinematic genius. In some people do. I think based off that filmography, I think the best movie is probably Rangasalam. I think that's clearly, like,
people do treat him like a cinematic genius. They say he's like on the same level as like Rajamouli.
I just don't think he is. Like, based off that filmography, like, there's some good movies in there, but there's also some.
I think the thing is, his movies probably more. I don't think the writing in his movies is better than Rajamouli's movies. Like, it's on par. They're basically on par.
Yeah.
But Rajamouli does like action and like VFX and stuff like that, which takes him above. Yeah. But I think Sukumar's movies are meant to be driven by the writing, essentially, and the plot. But sometimes the plot's just not good.
Yeah. I think they're driven more by the story and the writing, and also the characterization, because all of the main leads in all of these movies, they're all a little bit different, like a little bit peculiar, or they've got something different about them. So I guess Arya, like the first Arya is probably like his most normal character.
Yeah,
like everyone after that is a little bit weird. Yeah, especially Arya 2 is like he's a bit of a weirdo. Even in Rangasalam, he's like half deaf or something, isn't he? And
he's
like,
deaf. Yeah. Like he can hear, but he's yeah. I think the problem is in all these movies, there's just the plot is very convenient at times.
But anyway,
I think Rangasalam's really good.
Yeah, Rangasalam's quite good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our thoughts on Sukumar's filmography, because we didn't really talk about it in our review of Pushpa 1. Devasri Prasad is the music director for this one again, but interesting, in the titles for the movie, they said he did the original background score, but then Sam CS did additional background score. So
I think he just did the background score for the Jatra scene.
Okay. Yeah, because that kind of had his flavor to it. Whereas the rest of the movie, it's a little bit different, especially to Pushpa 1 as well, like the background.
So I know Thaman did come in to do background score, but I don't think they used it.
Yeah, I think they didn't use it in the end. So Sam CS, I think, was what was used for most of the background score. So
no, I think it's mostly Devasri Prasad.
Yeah,
and then that Jatra scene is that guy. Yeah.
I thought it was the other way. I thought Devi did the Jatra and
the other way around.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Because the Jatra sounds like Devi a lot.
No, style, because that guy that did that,
Sam CS.
Yeah, he did like
Kaidi. You know with Kaidi?
Yes, but did he do that Kannada film?
Which one?
That one that's really Kantara. Did he do Kantara?
Maybe. I'm not sure actually
because I think that's why they got him to do that Jatra scene.
While you look that up, I can talk about the budget for this movie. So the budget is between 400 to 500 crore, which makes it one of the most expensive Indian films ever made. So the first Pushpa, in terms of box office, made about, I think it was just over 350 crore. And then, interestingly, so it's only been 2 days. We're recording 2 days after the release. It's already made more than the first movie, and it's already made most of its budget back. So at the moment, it's sitting at 425 crore after 2 days. So it's a big opening. I think it had one of the biggest record openings for any Indian film. And another, I guess, point to keep an eye on is this year, 2024's highest grossing movie is Kalki. I think it made about 1,200 crores. So if any movie is going to beat that, it's probably going to be this one. So we'll have to see how this one ends up going in the long run. But it's off to a pretty good start because I guess the hype, I guess, was real for this one. So did he?
I don't think he did Kantara. Yeah.
I thought Devi did that, but I could be wrong. You guys can tell us if you know, because I'm pretty sure that teaser was released ages ago, that Jatara teaser. I'm pretty sure Devi did the music for that because it has his voice in it at some parts as well. So
does it?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll ever openly say who did which part either.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the first half of this movie wasn't Devi though, because it had a different flavor, the whole first half.
Yeah.
But there's parts where you can tell it's also because he's got some signature tunes. So anyway, enough about that. I guess you're here to really hear about our thoughts and what we thought about this movie. So what did you think of Pushpa 2?
I actually liked it better than Pushpa 1, but I think it's a worse movie than Pushpa 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't know why, but I just enjoyed it for the most part. But in terms of plot and in terms of probably length and editing, I don't think this movie comes together very well. But yeah, I know it's a lot more. I think they lent into the craziness of the world in this one.
Yeah.
And the craziness of the Pushpa character a little bit more.
I think it's amped up to the next level in this one.
And Allu Arjun is very good in it.
I also liked it. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit, despite its long runtime, which I didn't mention. It's about 3 hours and 20 minutes. I think that there's something about Pushpa's character in this one, even more than the first one, that was like, it just makes it more interesting.
It just makes it more interesting. I don't know what it was. The movie is sold on Allu Arjun, basically.
Yeah. I think he's in most of the movie, and he, like, if you think about the story for this movie, it's
pretty bad.
There isn't really much of a story.
Yeah, there really isn't a story. Yeah,
there isn't much happening until maybe like towards the end of the second half.
Yeah,
where there's some conflict and some things happen. But
I've got to say, they do some characters so dirty in this movie. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, Allu Arjun is very good.
I think he's very good. So if you thought he was good in one, I think he's even better in this. I would almost say, out of all of his performances, this is, because he's not even Allu Arjun anymore. He's like, you don't see Allu Arjun. He's completely Pushpa now in the, like, he's completely in the character. And he does like there's some parts, especially in the second half, where like I'm pretty sure most like big actors wouldn't even do those kind of scenes.
There's one part where he does a dance, which I thought was unnecessary, but I guess I think people really enjoyed that from the reception online.
Yeah.
Not the fight after it was good, but I didn't think the dance. Well, I just thought it was really out of place. It just comes out of nowhere.
I also thought that. So this is part of the Jatara sequence is actually it's like a 20-minute sequence that happens in the movie, and part of it is this. And I think there's some cultural thing about that, because I think there's some, maybe Sukumar, I don't know if it's his background or like whose background it is, but it seems like there was some sort of cultural significance to that dance.
Yeah. It came out, for me personally, it came out nowhere, and I was like, why is this happening? But from the reception online, I think people really enjoy it.
Yeah,
so,
and he was, he
danced well in it. I just thought it was random.
And that was the part where I was like, he's really become this character, because if he was, the normal Allu Arjun that we've seen for many years, or any big actor, I don't think they would have done that kind of scene. So that was really good. So I think by far the best thing about the movie is Allu Arjun.
But other than that, nothing is that great in this movie.
I think he brings, like, just based off that, it makes it a good movie. I think just based off his performance. But yeah, apart from that, I did like again that it's very culturally rooted. I thought like because the first one was so successful, they'd want to appeal to a wider audience, but they kind of like it's still very rooted to that region. Even though he says it's international and stuff in the trailer, there are some international aspects to it, but it's still very much a Chittor region story about red sandalwood smuggling.
Yeah.
So they stick to that, but it is bigger. So that you can see that the budget was definitely bigger than the first one. Like you can see it on the screen. But coming to the negatives, I think you were going to talk about that.
I think Fafad's
Yes.
really bad. Well,
Not
I
bad.
I think he's just given like a terrible character. Yeah.
So I think the main weakness of both of this franchise is
There's no villain.
or the supposed villains are just very weak. And in this, like they're almost like comedic relief.
Fafad's very comedic relief,
yeah.
but he's meant to be the villain. So it like,
and there's
if you watch like Dukuru, the villain's comedic relief,
yeah,
but also he can be menacing at times.
Yeah.
In this movie, he's just comedic relief. There's no menace. I don't think there is.
Well, the Pushpa's always a step ahead of him. So there's never a point where you feel like, oh, he's outdone Pushpa, because you always know that Pushpa's like he's thought ahead of him.
There's no what do they call it? There's no tension in the plot.
Yeah, because you know that Pushpa's always ahead of all the villains. And then Sunil's essentially he's
hardly in it.
He's not really in it, and he's not a villain in this one at all. He's like just like a supporting character.
And then what they do is basically in the last 40 minutes, they just introduce this random character and he becomes the main villain.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if he was like, I guess he is a villain, but I think he's just there to drive a plot, like a plot device that they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Towards the end. That like, I guess the outcome itself was pretty entertaining.
It's entertaining, but it's like, when you think about the plot, because the whole first 2.5 hours, I guess, it's all this one guy who's the villain, and then that plot ends, and then this plot starts, and there's no real connection to. There's no connection to either plot.
Yeah, they're
completely separate. Yeah.
I do think this one is a more satisfying ending than the previous one, because the previous one we did say that it kind of just ends. And it feels like, what was that? Like it leaves a lot of things.
There is at least some conclusion to some plot.
Yeah, there's some conclusion and there's a bit of satisfaction that like, the thing
this could have been one movie though.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they definitely added stuff in this that probably didn't have to be there as well. But there's the stuff I found interesting in the first one was the family dynamics, and they do address it a bit more in this one.
But the thing is, even that, in the whole first half, I don't think it's addressed at all.
No, it only comes towards the end of towards the end of the movie.
It's just not great writing, where like a whole half of a movie isn't even the plot that is.
Yeah. Well, I think the main plot of Pushpa was meant to be that. Yeah. But I think what happened was they just added all these other elements.
Added other stuff in.
Yeah. But I think the main plot was meant to actually be the family dynamics and how that gets resolved. But I still enjoyed it.
Despite all that, I still had a good time. Yeah. But if you think it's like a cinematic marvel, it's not going to be that. If that's what you want to expect.
No. And that's what I was saying earlier when we were talking about Sukumar's filmography. I think like he makes okay movies. Like they're good, but I don't think he's like some sort of genius that makes like
complex plots or anything.
Yeah. I don't think he's quite that level. You can disagree with us, but I don't think he's I mean, maybe he could be one day, but at the moment his movies are not that. I don't think. This one definitely
this one feels disjointed in terms of making it. I can tell because there was lots of production like problems and it took a long time to make. You could tell why it was difficult, and like getting to the editing table, this would have been terrible to edit, I reckon. Yeah.
Well, considering it's over 3 hours, they must have had so much footage apart from, what we got. The bottom line is I think Allu Arjun essentially just carries this movie from being average to being actually
Yeah,
pretty good.
it could have been.
Yeah.
It could have been pretty bad, but it's not amazing. It's good.
A negative from me is the songs. I think we did talk about the music a bit, but I think the placement of the songs was not good. I feel like some of them just didn't need to be there, some of those songs.
I think Srivali's character, sometimes when she comes, you're just like, oh, it's going to be a song now.
Yeah.
That pretty much for the first half, her character is
She does have
she has more of a role in the second half.
Yeah.
But in the first half, purely when you see her, it's going to be a song after.
But she does actually have a one good scene, I thought, like in the second half. She has a couple of good scenes. Her character is more important in this one. So they kind of did justice to her, I guess, in the second half. The rest of like there's other characters like Jake Potibal was in this one as a new character. I think Ra Ramesh is in this a bit more than
he's in it a little bit more.
Than the first one. I guess he has a bit of play. So he does pretty well.
Also, there's a character that in the first movie that you think is going to come back in this movie. It doesn't come back until the last scene.
Yeah, and we'll get into it in spoilers because I forgot how that guy looks, but I'm pretty sure that was the guy in the first movie. But yeah, anyway,
it's the guy.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. In spoilers.
Just the more you think about the movie, the more you probably won't like it.
Yeah.
But if you just go in, you don't think about it, it's fine. It's good.
Yeah, I think I do recommend it overall.
I don't think you need to watch it in the theater though. I think it's one that
I think maybe the theater will add something though. There's a couple of sequences I think cinematography wise. The Jatara scene is actually quite well shot. Just the lighting and the contrast and everything, and the way his costume sort of pops with all the stuff in the background. I think that's all. I think that will look good on the big screen. You might not appreciate it as much on streaming, but yeah, like I think people will like this. If you like Pushpa 1, you're probably
if you like Pushpa 1, you'll love this. Yeah. You'll absolutely love this. It's it's a feast. But if you don't like Pushpa 1, you might like it, but it's not gonna be like the one that wins you over.
Cool. Okay, we can jump into the spoilers. Firstly, the movie starts off in Japan,
and they never go back to that. Was that a dream sequence? Was that they never explained
it? I have no idea what that was. I thought they were going to come back to it at the end of the movie, so I thought the whole movie would be like a flashback. And when he falls into the water, he starts remembering his past. So I thought we were going into a flashback, and then we'd end the movie with him back in Japan, was what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But maybe that's going to be...
Did they forget that?
Yeah.
They put that scene at the start and they're like, oh, shit, we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
It almost felt like they'd just shot an extra scene and they're like, oh, this is cool. Where should we put it in? Yeah.
I think they needed an introduction sequence for him, but like I think they could.
But then they did an introduction scene again.
Yeah, they did one again. So like when the actual title comes up, I think they could have just gone straight to the actual plot instead of like it was. I enjoyed the sequence for what it was,
but it's not explained. It's not explained if it's a dream or if it was real or if they're going to come back to that.
Yeah.
Like, you never.
Maybe it's going to be in 3, because I'm pretty sure in the trailer there was some more sequences with him in Japan, other than just that one. I think there's some parts where he's like doing trading and stuff. So maybe that's going to be in 3. So we're in spoilers. There's going to be a 3 as well. Yeah. So it comes up at the end of the movie that there will be a third one. I thought, I mean, fast forwarding, like the first half, really nothing much happens.
No. Fafa and him are just, I guess they're fighting, and it's, his character's just, it's a comedic relief more than anything, which is disappointing because he could be more. And
then there's just a to and fro between them. I did still sort of enjoy the first half just because it's just like Pushpa doing whatever he wants essentially, and like swag and attitude throughout. So I kind of enjoyed that. And then it ends the first half with a bit of a challenge between Fafa and Pushpa, and then I think second half is where it really sort of picks up. There's a bit more action, and this I guess the third act, the last part of the movie, actually shifts to something completely different.
Yeah. If it didn't have Allu Arjun, that shift, just like it would have been jarring. Like he he somehow carries it through, making it seem like a reasonable story. But it is pretty jarring where it just goes from, because Fafa essentially kills himself, and then it just moves to a different plot line. Also, I think Ajay's character is written poorly, just because he's like,
he goes from hating him to like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and the amount of hate that he has for him is like unreasonable for a human being.
Yeah,
like no one's that hateful.
Yeah. Because he even hates him after like he saves his daughter.
It's like a really ridiculous amount of hate.
Yeah.
And then but he changes in one scene afterwards. So,
yeah. Well, when he saves his daughter again, that's when he changes his mind.
Yeah.
But I did I found the climax fight sequence pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it reminded me of that fight scene in Solo.
Yes.
It's
not as good
as that. Yeah.
Not as good as that, but it was still.
Yeah.
He almost just becomes like this monster.
But it's also like kind of hilarious because he's got his legs tied and he's got his hands tied.
Yeah.
And he's like sliding around the place like he's like he's like a Gumby.
Yeah.
And like biting people like he's a vampire.
Yeah.
It's pretty hilarious when you think about it. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And I think that's what adds to it because it's so like over the top.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so over the top, but it's entertaining.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fits the world of this movie anyway. Like he's slowly becoming like
he becomes like an animal.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, and the Jatra sequence where he does the dance and the fight after that.
Those were the two best fight scenes. That one at the end and the Jatra fight scene.
Yeah, I thought that was like quite a daring move from like he obviously just fully committed to the character and he was prepared to do anything. And he pulls it off. Like it's convincing. I enjoyed that whole thing, and that's the part that I was saying was very culturally rooted because I'm pretty sure there's some cultural significance to that whole thing. Like he says something about like if you dance in a sari in front of the goddess, you have a daughter or something. Like, I think there's like a line that he says afterwards. Yeah, you wish for a you get your wish granted, and he wanted a daughter. So I thought that was all good. So there is like an emotional undercurrent, which Allu Arjun also pulls off pretty well in this one. We talk about
the end.
The end. Yeah, we can talk about the end. So I think there was only meant to be two. There was probably only meant to be one, to be honest. But I think there was only meant to be two of these
because
movies.
they could have finished it there. Because
it was a happy ending. Like it looks like all the knots were sort of tied up. So like Paisa Vasool was dead. Got his revenge on the bad dude at the end. The family's all together. Like it could have just ended.
And I guess the connection between Jagapati Babu and that guy is already, it's only done at like the
last point.
The last scene.
Yeah.
So, I guess Jagapati Babu is the villain now. And he's making like he like collects all the people that Pushpa wronged.
All of them are together at the end, and then Pushpa's together with the rest of his family for his niece's wedding. But this is the part that confused me because pretty sure Paisa Vasool's, well, that's him, right? That sends the bombs.
No.
It's not him.
I don't think so.
Because his hand was burnt.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
When he detonated it, you could see that he had burns on his hand.
Yeah.
I thought that was Paisa Vasool. Who else could it be?
Well, I heard a rumor that Vijay Deverakonda was doing a movie with Sukumar. And that it's Vijay Deverakonda, so it's just a random guy. I don't think it's I don't think it's anyone from. Based off the writing of these previous movies, do you think it's somehow connected to it to anyone previously, or do you think it's just another random guy? Because based off the writing, it would just be another random guy.
But he would have to have some beef with
maybe like in a flashback or something
with Pushpa and with Jagapati because he sends them both bombs.
No.
Because he sends Jagapati, you know what, in the end where it's like, who's the...
I think that's just his symbol or something.
But it's like flashing, isn't it?
I don't think it's flashing. The one at Pushpa's one's flashing, is it? I don't know. Maybe we need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
I thought he sent a bouquet to Jagapati saying that he's going to send the bomb.
Yeah.
Because they're like, where's the actual guy?
Yeah.
But I don't think he blew up Jacob because they never showed that one flashing. They only show the one at Pushpa's house flashing.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And it does.
It only explodes there.
Yeah, but I think the other guys are somewhere else. I think they're in like Hyderabad or something.
I don't think he sent a bomb there.
Yeah. Now, if it was Fahad Fazil, why would he send a bomb to...
And if it was Fahad Fazil, why wouldn't they show him?
Maybe because they wanted to...
What would be the reason not to show him?
Maybe because they wanted to keep it subtle with his burnt hand. And he left the audience...
What in this movie has ever been subtle? What in this movie...
Sukumar was showing his...
They only showed the back because they're not sure who they can cast yet. But I heard that Vijay Deverakonda is doing a movie with Sukumar. So it might be him.
3?
But I think they only showed the back like KGF so they can cast Sanjay Dutt later or something if they want.
I hope they don't cast Sanjay Dutt.
Yeah. Because if it was Fahad, they would have just showed his face. Because they shot with him for like 3 months and they can't show his face for one, well, not 3 months, it was like 3 years.
Well, tell us what you guys think. I thought I saw a burnt hand, and the reason they would show a burnt hand is because Fahad Fazil was in that fire. So maybe he made it look like he died and then he escaped and is planning something.
I think it's just going to be a random guy. But they'll cast like a big actor for it. Yeah. If they eventually do this.
Well, Ram Charan's doing a movie with, it won't be Ram Charan, but Ram Charan is doing a movie with Sukumar. So
yeah. Well, Vijay Deverakonda tweeted something, I think 2 years ago, and it said, "Love your works." I don't know the exact tweet, but it's like, "Love your work," and he wrote Pushpa the rule, Pushpa the rise, Pushpa the rule, Pushpa the rampage. Had that on the tweet, and he said, "Can't wait to film with you." I don't know if that's a fake thing. It was just on Reddit somewhere. I read it. It might be fake.
Okay.
Just Reddit. I'm
Tollywood Reddit
too much. Yeah.
That could be something. They'd obviously have to write him into.
But also, if he filmed with him, why wouldn't they show his face? Because
well, maybe he didn't. They didn't film.
Maybe they didn't get a date to film with him though. Yeah.
Or maybe they just wanted to keep it, vague.
Yeah. Just in case they can't get him as well.
Yeah.
Because if they do show his face, then they're locked into getting him.
Yeah.
Or maybe it could be like, it could be Fafa and they're just like, maybe we don't lock ourselves into him either.
Yeah.
Just in case he can't film, and then they can just get whoever.
Maybe it's someone from Japan.
Yeah, that Asian guy beat up at the start.
Yeah. Or the boss.
Yeah. The boss that shoots him, the old guy that gets out of the car, shoots him with a pistol.
I did like that. So in the first Pushpa movie, the first dialogues he says are in Tamil. In this, the first dialogues he says are in Japanese.
Yeah.
And the limited Japanese I know, actually wasn't that bad.
I think it was Japanese. It wasn't just made up.
No, it wasn't made up.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, and it wasn't even that bad. Like he sounded not too bad.
It's just a shame that scene
didn't lead to anything. Yeah. Maybe in the third one they'll go back to it. What I wouldn't mind doing, with them doing, is make it more international in the third one. Like actually make him film it half in Japan or wherever. I think that would be pretty cool. Because they kind of hint at the international exports in this one, so that could be interesting.
Also, they randomly bring back that guy he beats up really badly in the first movie.
Yeah, so that was the guy at the end.
That was the guy who comes in with the crutches.
Yeah, but isn't his brother...
His brother's in the whole movie, so why is he not in the movie?
And isn't his brother helping Pushpa the whole time?
Yeah.
So why does he want to help? Well, because I guess he beat
him up.
Yeah.
But also, if his brother's in the movie so significantly, why is he not in it at all until the end?
Is he still
in the hospital or something? I don't know.
Maybe he's still. Yeah. I think this movie's only a couple of months after the end of the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then how did he get so rich?
Yeah, I guess he was already decently rich by the end of the first one, and this is ridiculously rich.
Yeah.
He's just
it's kind of like KGF 2 again.
Yeah, yeah.
They even do a scene like KGF 2 where it pans over and you see all his
sandalwood.
His sandalwood.
Yeah. It definitely has parallels to KGF in a lot of ways. I think this is better than KGF 2 though, because I didn't think 2 was that great. KGF 2, it did extremely well, but I think this is better than KGF 2. It's got a little bit more story than 2 did.
I don't know if it's got a little bit more story. I think it's
KGF 2 was all hype. The whole movie's just them hyping up Yash.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
like
yeah.
nothing actually happens. Whereas I think there's a little bit of conflict in this, a little bit more.
There's a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a lot, just
Yeah.
a little. Yeah.
And I think Allu Arjun, Yash is great as well, but Allu Arjun is like essentially a different person in this movie. Like he's very committed to the character. But he's not, as far as I know, they're not filming 3 straight away.
Yeah, I think he's going to do something else. I honestly think he should do something else for a bit. Just leave this for a bit.
I think it's better for him and his health and
his career.
Yeah. I think he's doing a movie with Trikram next. So
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening. Hopefully they don't take forever to make it though, because what's the trend that happens with a lot of these big pan-Indian movies that become successful is it takes them ages to make the next movie.
Also, do you think this movie needed 3 years to be made?
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't need 3 years to be made.
I think you could make this in a year.
Yeah, if you're efficient. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of stuff they were still writing though. I think the writing took a bit of time.
This is kind of like on the same level as like a Lokesh Kanagaraj film.
Yeah,
and Lokesh Kanagaraj makes these movies in like 6 months.
Yeah, he makes
ridiculous.
Them yeah, like he made Leo in like 6 months.
In 6 months, yeah.
Apparently, they've already finished shooting Coolie as well.
Yeah.
So that's like they're just doing post production now on that.
But like nothing in this movie is like that graphically intensive or like they didn't go. They shot one scene in Japan. The rest is like in that town.
Yeah.
Like nothing requires like extensive overseas shoots or anything.
I think it was just the writing because after the first one did so well, I think they had to rewrite a lot of stuff. Try to make it bigger.
And then add the extra story and stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was it. Yeah. But definitely didn't need to be 3 years for sure. And another thing I noticed was Allu Arjun, I think they made him look a little overweight in this. Was that an intentional thing?
I think that's just him now.
Well, I think Pushpa, like the character is probably like that.
Yeah.
Because like Allu Arjun's usually quite fit, but in this, like you could tell in like the kissing song and stuff, he looks a little bit like chubby.
Or maybe it was just stressful shoot and
yeah.
Well, it's 3. Like normally they get fit for like a year.
Yeah.
And then they can like be unfit for a while and then they can get fit again. Like being fit for 3 years to the level that they have to be fit is too much.
But I don't think the Pushpa character's meant to be fit either. Like I think he's like the age he's at now in this movie, I don't think it was meant to be like a...
How long do you think this is like this whole thing has been from Pushpa 1 to this?
Like how old is he?
Yeah. Because at the start, he's meant to be like 20.
I think it is like 20. He's probably like in his mid-30s or something.
So you think it's that long of a period?
Yeah, because I think the first movie does span quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. This one doesn't, though. I think this one's only like 6 months or something. But
I think I was expecting it to be really bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is actually not that bad.
Compared to the pan-Indian movies that we've seen this year, it's probably one of the better ones. If not the best one.
No, Kalki's better.
Yeah, Kalki's better.
Yeah.
This is probably the second best one.
What else is pan-India this year?
So
Devara.
Devara, it's better.
I think
it's better than Devara.
It's if it is, it's marginally better. It's not like ridiculously better.
Because at least for this one, I'm kind of intrigued about a third one. Whereas Devara, I'm like, you don't need another one for sure. Like this one, I'm like, you know what? I could see them doing another one and it being okay.
I'm probably inching that it's closer to Devara than you are.
It's obviously better than Kangwa.
It is.
If you're wondering.
It is. It is. Yeah, it is miles better. It is an Oscar movie compared to that movie.
No, I think it's probably like the second best. Like I think it's better than Devara. It's better than what other ones have there been? Like if you count Goat and Veta, and I think it's
better than that.
Yeah, I think it's better than them.
But I don't think it's like a lot better. I think like Kalki's well better. Clear.
I think this was entertaining. Yeah,
I think it's a good one-time watch. I probably would never watch this again though. I might watch that last scene when he kills all those guys, but that's it. Only to kind of it was hilarious.
It was funny.
Like if you go into it thinking it's going to be like a serious time, then you're not going to get that.
Yeah.
If you want to watch Allu Arjun become Dracula, then that's what you're going to get.
It's a good time.
It's kind of like he's do you know that scene in Morbius?
Yeah, it's like that. It's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except better.
Yeah.
In terms of, I don't think there's any more major releases for the rest of the year.
No,
So
don't think so.
what we'll probably do is we'll probably wrap up the year with some of our favorite and least favorite movies and probably most anticipated for next year. And then it'll be Sankranti before we know it. So we're going to probably be reviewing some of those movies. We'll see which ones. We'll put out a poll and you let us know. But Ajit does have a release. So those Ajit fans out there, let us know if you want us to review that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
As long as it's not what's that guy's name? The guy who directed Kanguva.
Siva.
As long as it's not one of his movies.
Yeah, well, it's not his. It's someone else. And I guess Game Changer is the other major release coming out then, which we'll probably watch that. All right. If people want to get in touch with us about their thoughts on, I was going to say Kangua. You can get in touch with us for your thoughts on Kangua as well. But on Pushpa too.
I think everyone's on the same page about Kanguva.
There's some. Anyway, we'll get to that after this. How do I get in touch with us?
So you can contact us on all social media platforms at Paisa Vasool, or our email is cognitiverecalibrationpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, and I didn't mention it, but we are, if you don't know, we are on Spotify and iTunes. So if you want to listen to us rather than watch us on YouTube, you can access it through Spotify and iTunes. And do follow us on Instagram because not enough of you follow us on Instagram. So you can keep track of what we're reviewing next, what we're up to, and then reels as well. I was going to say there are some conspiracy theories about Kangua. Like some of the comments on our video suggest that there's a lot of people that were forced to give positive reviews, apparently.
Forced to give positive reviews? I haven't seen one.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe they never posted them.
Yeah.
I mean, we posted our review of it, so go check it out. Just watch that and just don't watch the movie. Just watch our review instead.
Honestly, our review isn't great, but it's better than the movie by a mile.
Hope you all enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you in the next one where we'll wrap up the year. See you soon.
See ya. Bye.